Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in this video. So this video is about understanding Mangal Yoga, or more commonly Mangal Dosha, and how it impacts your horoscope. Okay. So Mangal Dosha or Mangal Yoga is not all gloom and doom as predicted by many astrologers. And just to put a disclaimer, you cannot get rid of that combination by wearing a gemstone or by doing specific remedies. Okay, so the best way to get rid of Mangal Yoga or Mangal Dosha, as they call it, is to understand how this thing works and thereby get rid of it or nullify its effects. Okay, so to put things in perspective, Mangal's impact in your horoscope starts reducing at the age of 28, and after 28, it is said that Mangal slowly yet steadily leaves you. But that is a very natural thing to happen. Everyone is going to turn 28. But in my understanding of it, Mangal dosha actually creates the problem of expectations. Okay. And when you have expectations and they don't get fulfilled, of course, you are left with a lot of resentment, with a lot of anger. And that is what Mangal dosha is all about. It's about burdening the person with expectations. So if you really, really want to get rid of Mangal dosha, this is a very, free remedy that I'm sharing. Please drop all your expectations. Please, stop trying to be perfect. Okay, you have to understand that this is not a perfect world, and you are not perfect. And as a result, the opposite person or the opposite people who are working with you, either in life, as your spouse, as your boss, as your friend, as your siblings, whatever, they are not perfect as well. So you have to embrace this imperfection in yourself as well as in people. And you'll find that, life has become very, very pleasant because you're no longer burdened by that Mangal dosha. Okay. But then this video is about understanding, what makes this thing so very terrorizing for a lot of people. Okay. So in astrological terms, if Mars is placed in the first, second, fourth, seventh, eighth, and 12th houses of the horoscope, then it it is regarded as Mangal dosha. Okay, but how does it impact in each of these individual houses? Say you have Mars placed in the first house. In that case, remember that Mars is always going to cause problems in the house where it is sitting in. So, why? Because, Mars has a son whose name is Mrityu, and Mrityu is known to destroy the significations of that house where it goes. So Mrityu, obviously, as Mangal's son, is always going to travel with Mangal. So wherever Mangal sits in the horoscope, it's going to cause problems in that house. So in the first house, it gives a lot of anger issues. It gives a lot of, it gives problems with unresolved emotions. It gives problems with decision making. And then from the first house, it actually, looks at the eighth house by its eighth aspect. And remember that the eighth aspect of Mangal is very, very dangerous. Okay. So the fourth aspect is known as the Chaturashraya. This is the protective aspect of Mangal, but the eighth aspect is the destructive aspect of Mangal. So it looks at the eighth house, and the eighth house is the house of in-laws. So this is going to give problems with your in-laws. Eighth house is also the house of, the house of sudden events. So it is going to bring a lot of sudden tumultuous events into the marriage that can ultimately lead to a separation or a breakup or even a divorce. Okay. If Mars is placed in the second house, as I said, remember this principle, Mangal just harms the house where it sits in. So the second house is all about family. Okay. So Mangal is known as the brahmachari amongst the grahas. So it'll give you problems whenever it comes to, starting a family or it'll give you problems where you feel that you're overburdened or overpressured by family responsibilities. And from the second house, the eighth aspect of Mangal is going to fall on the ninth house. And ninth house, remember, this is the house of dharma, and marriage is the biggest dharma. So what happens is you are actually, I've seen people having Mangal in the second house. They usually go out and look out of the marriage. Okay. And they have a lot of extramarital affairs. So it can actually make you break your dharma of marriage. Okay, by looking out of it. Right? If Mangal sits in the fourth house, then the fourth house is the house of happiness. So this is another problem, right? So your happiness gets eroded over a period of time. And then in the 11th, Mangal looks from the 4th house, it looks directly at the 11th house. So you get into problems with your friends, you get into problems with your network circles as well. So that is another issue. And then, 4th house Mangal often causes health issues because 11th is the house of diseases, if you know what I mean, right? Now, if Mangal sits in the 7th house, 7th is the house of partnerships, and then Mangal with its fiery nature, it erodes this house, and then it looks at the 2nd house by its 8th aspect. So it does not allow you to have a family. It does not allow you to have your own house. Even if you have your own house, it will make it very, very difficult for you to maintain that house or to live in that house. Okay. Then comes the placement of Mangal in the 8th house. Of course, the 8th house is the house of sudden events, but it is also the house of in-laws. So it can destroy your relationship with your in-laws. Okay. And then from the 8th house, Mangal's 8th aspect falls on the 3rd house. So 3rd house is the house of, Maithuna, or is the house of sexual pleasure. So again, this can lead to a lot of cheating in the relationships. This can lead to a lot of affairs, a lot of secret affairs, which can cause a lot of problems when they get out in the open. Okay. Finally, if Mangal is placed in the 12th house, then remember that 12th is the house of bed pleasures. So it can give rise to a lot of arguments and conflicts whenever you try to get intimate with your partner or with your spouse. So you can all of a sudden find yourself trapped in some uncomfortable conversations that can completely destroy your mood of getting intimate with your partner. And then from the 12th house, the 8th aspect of Mangal falls on the 7th house, and 7th house is again the house of partnerships. You become very headstrong. Okay, remember that Mangal is a planet whose affliction denotes an attitude like my way or the highway. So whenever you come into a partnership with that attitude, of course, the partnership is bound to suffer for a lot of reasons. Okay. So this is the basic understanding of why, the placements, certain placements of Mangal are regarded as problematic. I hope you have your answers now as to why Mangal dosha is regarded as such a dreaded yoga in Vedic astrology. But as I said, you may spend millions to get out of this problem. But as I said, it's a very simple way to get out of it, and that is to reduce the burden of your expectations. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. This is all from me in this video. Please subscribe to this channel, like the content, share it with your friends and family if you find it useful, and I'll see you soon in yet another video. Namaste. Om Guruve Namaha.